Welcome back to another episode of Quiérete. I am your host, Ana, and I want to thank you for being here again today. If you're just tuning into this channel for the first time, I want to say thank you to you too for tuning in. So, today we have a very special episode, and we have a former guest who was here maybe a month ago already, right?
Yeah.
Time flies by so fast. I'm now on summer break, on summer vacation. I'm going to be off for 2 months. It's been like 12 years since I've had a whole summer off like this. So I'm super grateful to have the opportunity to be off and to focus more on this podcast.
Lucky you.
Yes. So I'm very grateful and very appreciative for that as well. But today we have a very special episode. Like I said earlier, we're going to talk about a topic that requires a lot of vulnerability, really, right? And so my brother actually was the one that suggested to speak about this topic, and I want to praise him for wanting to talk about that, right? So today we're going to get into it. So today we're going to talk about the topic of rejection, right? And I think, we're social creatures, and we all have the desire to want to connect and feel like we belong, and that we connect with other people as well. But when we are rejected by other individuals, then it can create a whole lot of emotions, right? A lot of emotions might come up for us, and it might be very difficult to deal with those emotions as well. So I really want to normalize the feelings that come with rejection. And so today my brother's going to talk a little bit about his experience. So let's get to it.
Yeah. By the way, I love the new setup. These chairs
I know.
Comfy.
Yeah, what do you think?
That's nice.
TJ Maxx stuff. Yeah.
It's nice. It's comfy.
The chair can move around too.
Yeah. So, rejection. Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is your typical being rejected by a workplace, a job interview, not getting that job you wanted, and getting that phone call saying that, hey, you weren't the candidate that we were looking for. We moved on from you. That's kind of the form of rejection that comes to mind as soon as I hear the word. And then also too, obviously, being rejected by opposite sex, a female or vice versa, you being rejected by a male, no longer wants to move forward to a possible relationship or even anything else, Yeah, so there's all types of rejections. They're not I feel like we shouldn't look at them as negative, because you also gotta take some kind of positivity out of being rejected. And obviously, that comes with the part of being accepted and not feeling like you belong to a certain group or like I said, a workplace that you had the desire to be a part of. So obviously life comes with all sorts of rejection, and I think rejection is all about having the ability to actually going for something that you may or may not obtain, like obviously like a job, a opportunity to date someone, to be rejected from a group or something like that. It even kind of comes with a form of being rejected from like not being able to acquire a goal that you have in mind, so that being said, rejection, it comes a long way. And I think, as like you said, as it's in our human nature to want to belong to and to feel some kind of validation, I think that's part of the whole our basic needs, right? So being rejected it's tough to deal with, it feels like a punch in the stomach, it comes a long way, kind of it hurts our ego, which everyone has. And and some people deal with it differently. Some people may think it's the end of the road. Some may use it to their own advantage and use it to feel their fire, to keep moving along, keep pushing. And I think that's something that I have learned as far as being rejected from some certain jobs that I have applied for. Some obviously some experiences that I have in my life when it comes to trying to, you know, achieve something or even belong to some kind of group or anything like that. You know, growing up, obviously, we always wanted to hang out with maybe like the more popular kids or anything, and we're rejected from a group, and you know where that went. You know, made us feel lonely and made us not feel welcomed, and it kind of made us believe that we were never going to be a part of something. You know, so that hurts our confidence. You know, so it makes us feel insecure. But at the end of the day, I feel like it should be a valuable lesson as far as okay, so we're rejected. That doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't going to be another opportunity for us to, succeed or mold into that group, that job, be that boyfriend that you always wanted to be for that certain someone. You know. So you gotta use it as some kind of learning lesson to where, okay, obviously if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. Right. So move on, you know? Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the first things that comes to mind when it comes to rejection and so forth. But it's something that I feel like everyone needs to experience, and it's gonna be a lifelong experience, you know, kind of like it's a journey of we're always gonna feel some kind of rejection, whether it's with family too, you know, like let's just say you bring your new significant other, your new partner to your family, and your mom rejects the fact that she probably doesn't like, I don't know, I'm just gonna say something like her religion or her morals and her values and everything like that. Yeah. But it comes a long way. It's
you know what, and I like the part where you said that. So I always like to ask like what your definition of rejection is, because I think for a lot of people it only means like, well, rejection from relationships, right? Like I'm in a relationship and this person no longer wants me, or they no longer want to pursue this relationship, so there must be something wrong with me, I'm defective, right? And a lot of the times that's what ends up happening, right? That's how it affects our sense of self-worth and our dignity as well. But there's a lot of forms of rejection, right? There's rejection from, I really wanted this job and I felt like I was the best candidate, but I got a phone call back and they said that they went ahead and they hired someone else. And then you start thinking, well, then maybe I don't have, you know, the skills that I thought I needed to pursue this job. So it can be in all different areas of life, and it can happen all throughout our life, right? So you brought up something about when you were a kid, right? And like us wanting to belong to maybe like the more popular groups. Can you think of a situation or an experience when you were younger, when you were in school, where like you really wanted to fit in, or maybe you tried out for a sports team and you didn't make it? And how did that feel?
I think more for me, I felt like I kind of grew up as a kid that was really shy and timid, you know, so like a lot of the more social, I guess you could say, more extroverted kids growing up, I never really was able to kind of relate to them as far as them being like so like out there already, and you know, like I guess just being social. And there was I guess you could say there was a few times where I kind of did try like chiming in to some conversations, and I just felt like my 2 cents weren't enough for them, you know. So I felt a little rejection there, you know. Where obviously I didn't feel like I was enough, you know, like to maybe make them laugh or make them agree with me, you know what I mean? So that's certainly some kind of form of rejection, because I felt like, okay, so what do I really need to do to feel accepted, you know?
Right. Yeah. And you know, do you think that so I'm thinking about our family and our culture too, right? When things like that would happen, like who would we turn to talk about those experiences? We didn't really have anybody to normalize that for us, right? Like that's so how do you think that might have affected you now too, like not knowing if like this was like a normal experience of life, or if like it was okay to be rejected too?
I feel like that was more of having to do it on our own, kind of like go through it
Yeah.
and kind of just realize that, okay, this is part of life.
It's part of life.
It's
Yeah.
part of life, and it might keep happening. So I have to I can't put blame on anyone, you know.
Right.
So I
yeah.
can't point the finger at anyone. It's definitely not my fault, and it's definitely not our parents' fault or anyone else's, you know. So
Yeah.
it's kind of up to us to kind of to learn from it, you know, to learn from it and move on, and just know that it's done with, and it's time to kind of set another, I guess, challenge.
Yeah.
To see whether or not I'll be able to I hate to use the word accepted, you know, because I you know to have to feel validated, you know.
Yeah.
Because but I mean it is in our human nature, you know,
Yeah.
to want to feel some kind of validation,
Right.
and to feel accepted, but that's kind of how it goes whenever we don't have someone to go to.
Right?
You have to
I like to help
deal with it on your own.
Right.
And but I feel like that's obviously what makes us stronger.
Makes us stronger
exactly.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about so I think you talked a little bit about you thinking that rejection is normal, right? Do you feel like everybody should experience rejection at a point in their life, or will experience rejection, and how is that going to help them?
Yeah, I think everyone will experience rejection. It's only a matter of time, but it also has to do with putting yourself in situations, you know. You know, like being able to okay, I want to apply for this job, but you might have that fear of already kind of premeditating the rejection, you know, so you're just gonna kind of, you know, bail out and not even apply for that job, or you're just not even gonna, let's just say, for example, you see a girl you're attracted to at the bar or anywhere at the gym, and you're like, okay, 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna go for it. Boom, I bail out, I leave. You know, you're not gonna go for it. You're just not. You're just, that fear is always gonna be there, and you're just not. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of seeing that obstacles are just illusions, you know.
Yeah.
And being able to see it as a challenge and just kind of go for it and apply for that job, or just go have a conversation with that person. It doesn't even have to necessarily be to go and try to
like anything romantic.
Yeah, anything romantic.
Yeah.
It could be like, hey, I want to go have a conversation with this person because they seem interesting.
Right.
And let's just say this person looks like he might have similar interests as I do, you know, like let's just say, for example, running clubs are a thing now.
Yeah.
They're trendy now.
Yeah.
So let's just say there's a guy or someone that has some really cool shoes that I might want to talk to, but I might think that, oh, he may not talk to me because he probably, I don't know, maybe he's faster than me or something, you know, and I just want to know what kind of shoes he has on or something, but yeah, I guess it's just a small example, you know. It could certainly be used a different way, but yeah, it's just a matter of trying to just put yourself out there and not be afraid that you will get rejected, and because it will build confidence for sure.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because so what I'm hearing you say is that, like, even though you know, there's this thing that we want to do, and sometimes we might have a lot of fear of doing it, right? Because we might feel like we might be rejected from it. Like the best thing to do is just to do it, right? Because something really good can come out of it as well.
Yeah.
And then you're teaching your brain too, right? That, like, it's okay, like it's safe to take challenges and to take risks as well, no matter what the outcome is too.
Mental repetitions, you know, keep doing it and doing it, and obviously that builds confidence.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So on a more personal level, and you can share as much as you want, but have you ever experienced like a moment in your life where you were rejected, and like it really, I guess like it really stung a lot, and like it marked you in your life as well? And what was the lesson from that?
I don't know if I would necessarily say it was, because it was probably when I was just out of high school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, or what I really wanted to kind of build a passion for, or you know, I took a couple tests for Border Patrol and Customs.
I remember that.
I knew in my mind I wanted to do something with law enforcement. I kind of went all out because customs and border patrol is a whole different ballgame. You know, I would have to
Yeah.
leave the county, leave kind of our family, and like be hundreds of miles away. So I took both those tests. I remember traveling down south, and it wasn't. I mean, back then I was only 18, and it wasn't cheap, you know, to travel. You know, I barely had a part-time job,
Yeah.
so I kind of went all out, and it was kind of a form of like, hey, like this is like, if I take this job, it's gonna like dramatically change my life.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I studied. I could say I studied pretty intensely for the test. I ended up taking both tests. They were pretty challenging. Obviously came the point where I took the first test, which was the customs test, and it was really hard. And I failed it. I remember there was a really hard portion in Spanish, and
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, I had a lot of critical thinking, and yeah, so I failed it. They didn't share results as far as like what you did good at, or what you did, what you needed more, what you needed to improve on to
Right.
potentially pass.
To
You know,
pass it the
so
next time. Yeah.
I feel like that kind of, I guess, hurt my confidence at such a young age, because after that I was just kind of like left kind of confused, like damn it,
Yeah.
I have to go through all this again to retake
Oh, I
it, and
see.
I had to wait a few, I don't know if it was a few years or a few
Oh.
months to retake it. But and then again I took the border patrol test, and it was one of my, I'm not a math guy, obviously. I'm not a math person, so I took it, and there was a huge part on math, which was, for me, it was extremely difficult.
Yeah.
So I failed it as well. So you see, I feel like failure is kind of similar to rejection in a way, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
It's kind of, you learn from it, you know, and it's the only way to build towards a little bit more, to build towards success, you know? Because you learn from it. So I learned from it. I took a few years to for me to realize what I wanted to do and try something else, a different type of trade or a different kind of job, you know.
Yeah.
So it took a while. It left me a little bit it kind of at a young age. I was like, damn, what the hell, you know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't necessarily I feel like at a young age you kind of feel like, okay, so then what am I gonna do?
Yeah. Like
As
this is it. It's the end of the world.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. As opposed to when you're a lot older, you become a little bit wiser and
Yeah. More self-aware.
more confidence, more
Yeah.
self-aware. You know, where you're, you know that you're more capable.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as that goes, so rejection, I feel like that was kind of a crucial moment where I experienced rejection. Also, like I mentioned before, a couple moments in school, in high school, where I felt like don't get me wrong, I had my really solid group of friends, but as
Yeah.
far as being in a class, obviously I didn't always have my friends in there, you know?
Yeah.
So there was always this, you know, like my freshman year, and even in middle school too, there was just times where I was, yeah, you know, I considered myself to be a little bit introverted when I was growing up, you know,
Yeah.
so there was those moments where I tried to, you know, like add my thoughts or my, you know, my 2 cents, like I
Right.
say,
Yeah.
and it just kind of went home. I guess it went over their heads, and they just didn't agree with me, which is okay though, because not everyone is not everyone's always gonna agree with you, and not everyone's always gonna think the way you think, you know. But yeah.
Yeah. So that's really like what you just said right now, right? That's like a very significant time in your life, especially because at 18 you're transitioning into early adulthood. And as you're talking about that experience, like I had no idea you were going through all that, and I'm like, oh yeah, you did apply to work in customs and border patrol, but I had no idea that that's how significant that was for you and how much it marked you too. And right now when you mention the thing about your friends too, so my brother actually he has a group of friends who have been his friends in high school too, right? So so even though it might not work out with certain friends, or even though maybe, you know, we feel like we don't belong to a certain group of friends, like years later you might, like you might end up with friends who you didn't really connect with in high school, and they're actually going to turn out to be some of your long time friends, right? Long-term friends as well. So, and he has a really good friendship with them as well.
Yeah.
They're very good people. So yeah, thank you for being vulnerable and for sharing that part of your life as well. So as you're speaking about this time of your life, like, can you share like what emotions came up for you after not passing that test and after just being like redirected somewhere else? Because that's how I look at rejection. I look at it as redirection, right? Like, this is where I'm not, so this is not the path where I'm supposed to go. And I think God has better plans for me.
Most certainly. And it's always that first feeling you get. It's kind of like, okay, you're upset, you're disappointed.
And that's valid too,
you're
right?
disappointed. It's normal. It's you can't hold back from being able to feel that way, it's you gotta feel your emotions.
Yes.
So it was kind of being upset, being a little bit confused as like, okay, what do I do next,
Yeah.
But like I said, like I mentioned before, at a young age you're kind of like, okay, it's the end of the world. So now the way I kind of sense or I respond to rejection is like I kind of reflect and look at what I did wrong and what could I improve on,
Okay.
So before I kind of just looked at the fact that I didn't pass the test, I didn't look at, okay, so this obviously means that I need to maybe study harder if I really want this, if I really want it, if I really want it. And now it's like, okay, if I really want it, I'm going to get the job done, Like before, obviously, when that happened, I kind of just left it as is, I didn't even try again because I felt like I was incapable of doing it again. And I was young and I left it alone, and I don't regret it. I feel as if that wasn't not the correct route, but just that wasn't what I really wanted to do. Yeah. So it's just a matter of being able to set the pieces aside and know that, okay, so that didn't work. Now I gotta figure out why I got rejected. Like let's just say for a job that let's just say I applied for a job recently and I get a call, and obviously a lot of times the employers, they won't tell you why you didn't get the job, right? Unless you really ask and you dive deeper into that, So you gotta kind of think about it yourself and obviously you kind of evaluate yourself and be like, okay, why did I get rejected? I did this right, I did that right, and everything, So and then obviously you try again to give you that boost of confidence that that if it's rejection, it's fine, it's totally fine. Like you said, it's fine to feel your emotions and everything, but you just gotta keep moving forward and you just gotta keep trying and you gotta keep taking risks for sure.
Yeah. I love that. So just to kind of wrap things up too, like for someone who has a really difficult time accepting rejection or just coping with rejection, like what is a piece of advice that you could tell those people? Because I have people in my life or in my circle of friends who have a hard time with rejection. I can say that I was not always the best at accepting rejection as well. I think there was a period in my life, probably in my 20s, and I think also middle school. Middle school was just a really tough time, and it's a really tough time for a lot of people because we don't feel like we belong, right? You're still trying to figure out who you are as a person, figure out your identity, right? And so it could be a very challenging time. But so what advice would you give to those people who have a hard time coping with rejection?
I would say accept it.
Acceptance.
Accept the rejection. Don't be in denial. Don't force anything. If you get rejected, obviously move on. Move on. I would say kind of evaluate a little bit, try to see what happened, but I wouldn't stay stuck on it too long. Just move on and keep trying. Because everyone gets rejected, no matter who you are. Everyone's gonna get rejected somehow, some way. But like I said, also too, you have to be able to put yourself in that kind of situation. Otherwise, you're never gonna
you never know what's gonna be.
you
on
never
the other
know what's
side.
gonna be on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I would say just keep trying. Obviously, everyone, like I said, everyone gets rejected, but you do have to face some kind of rejection because that's where you build confidence from, for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely where you build confidence from. It's a building block for confidence.
Yeah.
No matter what.
So
Yeah.
you heard it there. In order to build confidence and to have a stronger sense of self-worth is take that risk, everybody, right? Try not to let fear become an obstacle of doing things that you really want to do. What I learned from my brother too is just accept. Try to accept the fact, feel what you need to feel your emotions. Let's start off there, right? That's how you're able to process your emotions. And also, like, if the rejection is coming from a relationship, if this person is saying, I no longer want to be with you, don't think it has to do anything with yourself. Don't take it personal, right? It has everything to do with them, right? So once you start looking at the situation in that way where it's like, well, this person is just not, this person is going through something in their own life. Maybe they're at a different stage in their life as well. It has nothing to do with me. Then you start looking at the situation different, and you don't feel as much anger towards that person. You start feeling more compassion too. Because anger takes away a lot of energy from you as well.
Yeah, it certainly does.
And just be okay with the idea that some people are just not meant to be in our lives as well, or maybe that job was just not meant for you. But again, rejection equals redirection. That's such a good way to just kind of look at it, right? Any last words, Frankie, before we kind of end here?
No, I mean, I love that. Rejection equals redirection. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to end it.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
For sure.
Hopefully you can come back again. We'll talk about a different topic, but I appreciate you being here.
For sure. I appreciate you too, sis.
Thank you, everybody, for listening in. I hope you liked this episode on the topic of rejection. Let us know how you cope with rejection. I'm always interested in hearing about that. Until next time, have a great afternoon. Bye.